Hi there, and welcome to the I Eat, I Read, I Watch series. This is where I tell you about something I've made, and something I'm watching, and something I'm reading. So today I'm eating beef stew with apple juice. So I've got this Empire apple tree, right? And I don't really like apples, or fruit more generally, to be honest. So while I love the idea of apples, they become a bit of a millstone in September. 2 weekends ago, I picked a bag full and threw them in the slow cooker for a few hours with some water and a few spices, and then put the mixtures through a cheesecloth. You see, juice I can handle. I know, fiber. But in my defense, I do eat a lot of vegetables. Then I saw a recipe using apple juice in beef stew. A couple of Sundays ago, that's what I made. I began by browning a kilo of stewing beef in some grapeseed oil using my favorite Urquhart Dutch oven. Once browned, I added a couple of cups of apple juice and a cup of beef broth, along with a couple of tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, salt, pepper, and some sprigs of thyme from my garden. I got it to a boil and then simmered it, lid on. After an hour, I added carrot, celery, potato, and onion, bringing it back to the boil and then simmering, lid on, for another 30 minutes. Once everything was tender, I added a slurry of a 1/4 cup flour with a 1/4 cup water for thickening, along with a 1/2 cup or so of frozen peas. This was off recipe, but no stew is complete without the pleasing color and taste of green peas. I served myself a couple of slices of buttered sourdough toast alongside a bowl of stew, and I must say 'twas tasty. Although we think of apple as pork adjacent, this really worked, and I'll make it again. Prep time, couple of hours. Origin, everything Canadian except for the oil. The cost, about $20 for the beef, and I'd say another $5 for the veg, but I got 4 meals out of that. If you've got some ideas for fall fruit, please add them to the comments section in my blog. So what am I reading? Well, How Can I Help Saving Nature with Your Yard is the 4th book from entomologist and wildlife ecologist Douglas Tallamy. I'd never heard of him, though, until Valerie Groves, the gardener who designed and planted my backyard pollinator, turned me on to him during our interview for her Lane Changer profile. I ordered this 2025 release from my local library and had it within a few days. This made me happy. Who doesn't like near instant gratification? But sad, too. Why wasn't there a waiting list for this one? Why aren't we all keen to find out ways to improve our local ecology with a little care and attention to what we're planting in our own yards? But also in the public spaces that surround us, too. Oh, I know, it's become more of a thing. People are less likely to complain to the municipality when their neighbors have replaced their front yards with stands of milkweed and goldenrod, reducing water usage and improving their chances of creating the right habitat for the insects that do good in our world. Tallamy responds to 499 questions he's collected over the years, creating a treasure trove of info, a lot of which is new news to me. I've been gardening now for 14 years, but mine's been a haphazard approach. That's pretty. Let me buy that. That's growing well. I won't interfere. Yes, I will take your excess perennials, and so on. For example, there was the summer I let wild carrot grow because it took root and I couldn't be bothered or didn't have the energy to get rid of it. The next year I had a forest of them. Of course, Tallamy's helped me understand that in fact it's not native and I probably shouldn't have allowed it to colonize my property. 2 years ago, giant hogweed invaded one of the boxes behind my house. Also not native. Also not easy to eradicate. If I think back a few decades, I consider all the damage my dad did to the ecosystem of our farm as he methodically drained all the wetlands to create more arable land and drive all the pests away. Those pests that didn't take the hint were sprayed to death with chemicals long since banned. My, how things have changed. So here am I, working my way through Ptolemy's questions and answers. He's got a full 10 pages devoted to monarchs. If you're reading something educational, please drop a note into my blog. Finally, what am I watching? Well, I watched Lilith Fair, Building a Mystery. If you're a North American woman within 10 years of my age, there's a pretty good chance you went to Sarah McLachlan's all-female music festival at least once between 97 and 99. I remember it fondly, there with my niece, one of my sisters, and a couple of friends on a blanket on the hillside out at Ontario Place, and thousands of other women or people who appreciated good music. I'd followed McLachlan since her first album, Touch, and that all crystallized into fandom with her second album, Soulless, when I went to her concert and saw her perform at the Winter Garden Theatre in Toronto. She had so many candles burning on stage it set off some heat detector and the curtain came down briefly. I wasn't fazed by this, and nor did I worry about fire code. Ah, youth. It was a no-brainer that I was going to Lilith 5 years later. This documentary of the 3 years of Lilith and her reasons behind it captures the time so well. It seemed like it was the beginning of something new. Female singer-songwriters were coming into their own. I cried for nearly the full 90 minutes of the doc. Some of those tears were for the nostalgia, but a lot of them were in recognition of how little progress we've actually made since then. The BS response that Paula Cole, one of the Lilith stars, got for having unshaved armpits on display at the Grammys in 1999 was echoed on social media this week when Livy Dunn, an American influencer and former artistic gymnast, was forced to defend a photo of her own with her arms over her head, in which you can see sweat stains. Good grief, who cares? Men can sweat, but women can't? Whether you remember Lilith or not, I recommend this documentary. It's an inspiring slice of history. If you've watched a good doc lately, please let me know in the comments on my blog. And thanks so much for watching.